FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. He was found.
Everybody wanted to find the chosen one, the genius. That person was Sam Bankman-Fried, and the company that he ran was FTX.
FTX is a crypto exchange. Sam was the founder.
In November 2022, Sam Bankman-Fried was worth over $20 billion. He had a $40 million penthouse in the Bahamas, private jets, a Super Bowl ad with Larry David. His name was on a sports arena. He was on magazine covers, having dinner with presidents, and being called the next Warren Buffett. 72 hours later, it was all gone. Not slowly, not gradually. 72 hours. One of the largest financial collapses in history, unfolding in real time, in front of the entire world. And the thing that makes this story different from every other financial fraud story, the thing that makes it genuinely hard to believe,
U.S. prosecutors say this is one of the biggest frauds
is that Sam Bankman-Fried had spent years telling everyone he was one of the good guys. That he was making money, specifically, so he could give it all away. That FTX wasn't just a crypto exchange, it was a force for good in the world. He wasn't just stealing billions. He was stealing them while positioning himself as a hero. This is the story of how that fell apart, and it fell apart fast. SBF wasn't your typical finance guy. Son of 2 Stanford law professors, MIT physics grad. He landed a job at Jane Street, one of the most elite high-frequency trading firms on Wall Street, where he got very good at spotting tiny price inefficiencies and exploiting them before anyone else could. In 2017, he found the biggest inefficiency he'd ever seen. Bitcoin was trading for up to 50% more on South Korean exchanges than it was in the US. 50%. He could buy it in America, sell it in Seoul, and print money. So he founded a trading firm called Alameda Research to do exactly that. The profits were staggering. By 2019, flush with cash and credibility, he launched FTX, a cryptocurrency exchange. With Alameda providing the trading engine underneath, FTX grew at a speed that turned heads across the industry. But what really separated SBF from other crypto founders was the persona, the messy hair, the shorts and t-shirts, the beanbag in the office, the story about sleeping at his desk because he was too busy changing the world to care about comfort. It was carefully crafted. His ex-girlfriend and close colleague Caroline Ellison later testified in court that the whole disheveled genius look was a calculated act, and the philosophy wrapped around it was even more powerful, effective altruism. The idea that you should make as much money as possible so you can give it all away and do the maximum good in the world. It reframed FTX not as a ruthless financial machine, but as a charity vehicle with a trading desk attached. The world bought it completely. At its peak, FTX was valued at $32 billion. SBF was one of the biggest political donors in America. He was living in a sprawling penthouse with his top executives, flying private, appearing on panels with heads of state, and fielding calls from celebrities who wanted in. At the center of everything was a relationship that the public didn't know about between FTX and Alameda Research. Think of FTX like a bank vault. Customers deposited their money there, trusting it would be kept safe. That's the entire value proposition of an exchange. You hold the assets, we trust you with them. Billions of dollars of customer funds were being quietly funneled from FTX into Alameda Research, SBF's personal hedge fund, to make wildly risky venture capital bets, buy real estate, and fund those massive political donations. The customer's life savings had become SBF's personal piggy bank. Running Alameda was Caroline Ellison, SBF's on-again, off-again girlfriend, and one of his closest colleagues. She would later testify that SBF directed her to commit these crimes. She was the CEO of the fund that was secretly draining customer money, fully aware of what was happening, and for a while, nobody outside that inner circle knew. Then, in early November 2022, crypto news outlet CoinDesk published a leaked document, Alameda's balance sheet. What it showed was alarming. The firm's finances were largely propped up by FTT, a cryptocurrency that FTX had created itself. It was like discovering that a major bank's primary asset was its own worthless printed money. The head of Binance, FTX's biggest rival, saw the document and announced publicly that his firm was selling off its entire FTT holdings. That was the match hitting the powder keg. Customers panicked. Withdrawal requests flooded in, but the money wasn't there. It was locked up in Alameda's bad bets, its real estate deals, its political donations. The exchange that had processed billions in trades couldn't honor basic withdrawal requests. In 72 hours, FTX was done. On November 11, 2022, FTX and over 100 related companies filed for bankruptcy. SBF resigned as CEO. The man brought in to manage the wreckage was John Ray III, the same attorney who had overseen the liquidation of Enron. His assessment was blunt. In his entire career, he had never seen such a complete failure of corporate controls. On December 12, 2022, Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested in the Bahamas. The images were jarring. A month earlier, he'd been on magazine covers. Now he was being led away in handcuffs. Extradited to the US, he was charged with wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering. He was initially released on a $250 million bond and confined to his parents' house in California. That didn't last either. In August 2023, a judge revoked his bail after finding he had leaked the private diary entries of Caroline Ellison to the press, an attempt to discredit the woman who was about to testify against him. He was sent to Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center to wait for trial. The trial started in October 2023. The prosecution's case was simple. He's a con man who stole billions. The defense tried to paint him as a well-meaning math nerd who got in over his head. The jury didn't need long to decide which story was true. The most devastating testimony came from his own people. FTX co-founder Gary Wang, Caroline Ellison, Ryan Salome, one by one, the people closest to him, took the stand against him, all having pleaded guilty and agreed to cooperate. They all said the same thing. SBF was the one who designed the backdoor. SBF was the one who directed the fraud. SBF knew exactly what he was doing. On November 2, 2023, after just a few hours of deliberation, Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty on all 7 counts. On March 28, 2024, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison and ordered to forfeit over $11 billion. The judge noted that he had committed perjury on the stand. He had lied, under oath, at his own trial. His inner circle got varying sentences. Ryan Salome received 7.5 years. Caroline Ellison, for her extensive cooperation, received 2 years. She was released from federal custody in January 2026 after serving about 14 months. SBF won't be out until at least 2044. His appeals are ongoing. Here's what stays with me about this story. The fraud wasn't particularly sophisticated. There was no complex algorithm, no intricate web of shell companies designed to confuse investigators. It was basically, take customer money, use it for yourself, and hope nobody notices. What made it work for as long as it did wasn't the technology. It was the story. The messy hair. The beanbag. The philosophy about saving the world. People wanted to believe that someone this smart, this young, this publicly committed to doing good, couldn't also be stealing from them. $8 billion of real people's money, retirement savings, life savings. People who believed the story. Sam Bankman-Fried is now inmate. Number 9526, 9 to 510, at a federal prison in California. The penthouse is someone else's problem. The private jets are gone. The magazine covers are in a landfill somewhere. The crypto industry is still dealing with the fallout, the regulatory scrutiny, the broken trust, the questions about who's actually holding what, and whether any of it is as safe as the founders claim. Those questions don't have easy answers. But knowing the story of FTX is a pretty good place to start asking them. Subscribe to Stag Research if you want to keep digging into the stories behind the headlines, the ones that explain how we actually got here.